Are you a soccer fan? Whether you are or not, we think you're going to find this video amusing simply because we're going to be showing you 5 crazy things that's happened in a football field. Most of these won't even require you to understand the game because, well, simply they're odd enough to have an entirely different focus as compared to the game itself. Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button to get notified every day for more amazing content. With that being said, let's begin. Number 5. The London Fog. In 1945, there was a game which had gone askew with all sorts of rule bending, and it was, in one word, chaotic. This game in concern was considered as one of the weirdest games in the history of football, which involved the famous team Arsenal versus Dynamo Moscow. It was probably a good thing that this was set as a friendly match that doesn't impact the scoring or standing of both teams because of how the game went. But this certainly didn't change how awry the game went due to the thick London fog. And that year, this match was held at White Hart Lane. And while the players in the team opposed to playing because of the fog, the referees ignored the request. That was when chaos ensued. The game was a farce in all aspects, no matter how one might look at it. The rules had to be disregarded, and due to the terrible weather, the team members did everything they could to win. Without removing a substitute player from their team, Dynamo Moscow had another substitution enter the game. Fans who were there watching the game live estimated a total of over 15 players on the field at the same time. Meanwhile, Arsenal's tricks weren't to be disregarded either. Players that had been handed a red card returned to the game afterwards, finishing the remainder of the game without the referee even noticing. In fact, Arsenal's goalkeeper passed out after running straight into the goalpost when he failed to see it. There were some reports that a spectator took the goalkeeper's place after that. Dynamo Moscow beat Arsenal 4-3, and even though the scoring didn't matter much, it was still a tale to be remembered by fans of both teams. Number 4. A game of 25 halves. If you find yourself wondering what a game of 25 halves could possibly dictate, you're not the only one. With literally 25 games between the teams Trevor McDonald's the 11th and Elstead Village Idiot, the former team won 197-69. This score required an actual cricket scorer to keep count of both teams' scores, with Mary Clotworthy put in charge of keeping score of each and every goal. This match started around 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the 25th of September, 2004, and ended only at 2 p.m. the following day, amounting up to 25 hours of playtime, making the game last longer than 16 normal matches. Throughout the 25 hours, players from both teams played on a basis of 45-minute half games before taking a break for the next 15 minutes. The entire 25 hours at the Clayfield Copse Recreation Park. If you're wondering why the game lasted so long, it was because the players were aiming to raise some money for comic relief, while also attempting to break a world record. While we don't know how much money was raised for comic relief, we do know that they broke the world record. These teams' players ranged in age from as young as 14 to as old as 42. They had to have a doctor's certificate to qualify for this football match, just to ensure that they were fit enough to handle the task at hand. There were also first aid presenters throughout the game, along with plenty of water for the players to drink when they could. Throughout the entire match, there were only 3 cases of injuries, but that was more than enough to cause some strain on the supply of players that they had. One of the players played non-stop for 11 hours, and when some others were exhausted, they slept at the sidelines while the match went on. By the end of the game, several players found themselves barely able to walk. Although the captain of the Elstead team, Daniel Lewis, expressed that he had initially set 30 hours playtime as his goal. However, they did beat their previous record by an entire hour, so there's that. Number 3. The toothless final whistle. Ever heard of a goal being disallowed without the referee even seeing the goal in action? Well, here's one for you. This match dates all the way back to 1960, with Norwich playing against Ebeltoft in Denmark. Here's a hint for you. It's related to the referee. Towards the end of the game, Norwich was leading at a score of 4-3, just seconds before the referee, Henning Erikstrup, was supposed to blow the final whistle. As you could expect, Ebelton's players continued charging, trying their best to get an even score. However, as the referee was attempting to blow the whistle, his false teeth fell out, meaning that there was no whistle. The game went on as the referee frantically stooped down to find his set of false teeth and put them back on so he could blow the whistle and end the game. Nevertheless, by the time he did that, Ebeltoft had managed to score another goal, pulling the score to 4-4, an even score. Is that really the case? Well, as it turned out, Eric Strupp disallowed the goal immediately without even having seen it, reasoning that the game was over and he couldn't signal it at the right time, and that goals scored after 90 minutes were simply not counted. Of course, Ebeltoft players protested the referee's decision and later on even proceeded to bring this case to something akin to the Football Association. The protest did not manage to go through, however, and Norwich still ended up winning 4-3. There was also some additional input from the referee after the game, who, when asked about his reasons for not being able to sound the whistle or even see the goal, said he needed to get his teeth back before one of the players put his big foot on the dentures. Number 2. Violent football brawl. This case happened very recently in Asia, in 2017. Viewers were stunned at the match between Indonesian football team Perswangi Banyuwangi and PSBK Biltar, not because of the stunning gameplay, but because of the violent brawls that had broke out early in the game. What was supposed to be a special playoff match turned into a game with confrontation between players very early. Players could be seen attacking each other, and they each got yellow cards early on, with the game coming almost to a full stop when the brawl escalated from being between one person to between both teams and almost all their members. One of the players seemed to be injured from the other team's attacks, and when confronted about it, the opposing team was not happy, resulting in yet another brawl. Audiences lost count of the number of times the game had to be stopped due to the conflicts between the players. Towards the end of the game, 3 players were already sent off with red cards. Somewhere in the middle of the game, when the members of a team were not happy with the referee's decision, they crowded around the referee and took off their shirts collectively. The match resumed shortly after when the referee managed to cool down the scene, but not for long as other small brawls erupted. At the 90-minute mark, the team which was not happy about the red card raised a confrontation with the goalkeeper, and somewhere in the middle, a flying kick was even given to a football team member by a spectator. The game did not resume after that, with the game ending at a score of 1-0 for PBSK. The protest towards the end of the game was due to a red card that was not given, even though there was a rude violation, and the brawl had to be stopped by other parties. Man, not very professional. I'm sure everyone can agree with that. Watch the clip to see how extensive the damage is. Number 1. Biteable games. Perhaps we don't need an introduction to this footballer known as Luis Suarez. He was notoriously known for repeatedly biting team members of the opposing team, which led to a 4-month ban in 2014. At that time, Suarez was banned by FIFA for biting Giorgio Chiellini for all football-related activities, rendering him unable to join the rest of the World Cup games or other domestic games. With the ban imposed on him, Suarez was not able to train for his club or country, as well as from entering any football stadium for that matter. This drew some protest and dismay from Uruguay, where the player was from. However, perhaps most of us will deem this as a reasonable punishment, given that this was the 3rd biting incident he had in his career. In total, Suarez was banned from 9 international matches and was given a fine of £66,000. His tendencies of biting opponents gave him a name of being the top 5 players back in 2014. But he was also one of the biggest villains. His previous record includes biting Othman Bakal on the shoulder back in 2010 in Holland, and in 2013 on the shoulder in 2010 in Holland, and in 2013 he was suspended for an additional 10 games for biting Branislav Ivanovic from Chelsea on his arm. There are clear recordings of the biting incidents happening, easily found by searching with the right keywords. Along with these biting incidents, he also had previous cases of racial abuse towards Patrice Evra from Manchester United. In total, he would have been suspended for 48 matches since his first biting in 2010 without receiving any red cards in the game. The gambling company 888.com reviewed the possibilities of their sponsorship continuing after that game, and while Adidas made it clear that they did not condone his bad sportsmanship on the field, they also did not drop him as a sponsored player. However, he was taken off any additional marketing activities that Adidas might have had throughout the entire 2014 FIFA World Cup. We certainly hope that he's learned his lesson and that there will be a cleaner football match without any biting incidents in the future. Attention top fivers, we have breaking news. The most entertaining channel on YouTube is finally here, and they're giving away free iPhone X's. All you have to do is subscribe to win. It's full of super exciting cool facts, riddles, life hacks, and mysteries to keep you entertained. But don't take my word for it. Click on the screen to see the latest video or click the round yellow sun-looking button and subscribe now. The link is also in the description. See you there!